We're here at West Edmonton Mall.
Or as Edmontonians like to call it, the mall.
Which is an impressive feat, considering that during the mall's heyday, Edmonton had more mall space per capita than anywhere else in Canada, at more than 3.5 times the nation's average. Not only do we love going to the mall, we also love driving there. As at the time of this recording, West Edmonton Mall has long since been dethroned as the world's largest mall, but still holds the title for the world's largest parking lot. Now, typically, such a large parking structure would deter from the overall architectural design of a structure, but as you can see, there isn't much there to begin with Peter Hemingway saying, "The architecture of West Edmonton Mall was merely an afterthought." But that's not to say it lacks appeal. It has plenty, but we'll talk about that later. If you told any Edmontonian you were going to the mall, you'd probably get a good luck or a sympathetic nod, because it's notoriously busy. And if you said you were doing a quick trip to the mall, you'd get laughed at. Time does not flow normally in there. Hours disappear, directions stop making sense, and you forget why you came there in the first place.
That's kind of the point. West Edmonton Mall manipulates time and space to create its own little world, a postmodern consumer utopia where history, geography, and fantasy all collapse into a single, endless interior. Inside, global and historical references blur together into one consumable environment of leisure and escape.
You could pretty well imagine you're anywhere in the world when you're here.
Originally built in 3 phases over the course of 6 years, being completed in 81, 83, and 85 by the Gramesian-owned 555 Corp., West Edmonton Mall quickly became a symbol of the city's progress.
If you were to ask somebody in the 90s who was not familiar with Canadian geography where Edmonton was, they probably wouldn't be able to tell you. But if you were to ask them, what is the world's largest shopping center? They would easily be able to identify West Edmonton Mall. Thanks to the likes of Guinness Book World Records, Archie Comics, and other media, Edmonton became discussed by the world for its crazy record-breaking mega mall.
But, as I was saying earlier, despite its exterior, West Edmonton Mall focuses all of its experiential design on the interior. Hey, come to think of it, I don't actually remember entering the mall.
That's because the act of entering and exiting the mall are designed to have as little fanfare as possible. It's designed to be forgettable. It's designed so it's not a memorable part of the experience. Just like the exterior of the mall, it's designed to be something we don't rush to get back to. Or as Perrin phrases it, the non-event of the entry is key, as it makes you forget about ever coming into the mall in the first place, as if you'd always been there.
This, paired with the, at the time of its construction, singular bus terminal, almost forces you to drive to the mall, park in the world's largest parking lot, and enter with as little baggage from your life as possible, both physically and mentally. That desire to get away from life, or in the case of the mall, to get people away from the outside world and into the world inside the mall. Wait a minute, are we in Europe?
No, silly. We're in Europa Boulevard, one of the mall's many theme sections. To quote Nader Gramesian, one of the founders of the mall, "We traveled the world to see where people like to go, but they couldn't go to everything in one day, so we have to put it all under one roof." And this isn't the only section like this. There is also an entire area based off the French Quarter of New Orleans, a mini Chinatown, an entire indoor beach, and a one-to-one replica of the Santa Maria inside of a mall-locked lake. All of which are copies without an original, a representation that replaces reality within a self-contained illusion.
So, it's a simulation?
Actually, it's Simulacra. Baudrillard would call it a hyper-reality, a state where a copy becomes more real than the original. Inside the mall, Europe, the tropics, and the deep sea can exist side by side, detached from geography or time. It's not about reproducing the real world, it's about creating a new, perfect version of it, one that exists only for consumption. Not only that, but in her paper City as Theme Park, the Mickeyization of the Urban Landscape, Lorraine Deerstein-Follo claims, "There's almost a straight line leading from the theme restaurants of the Vegas Strip through the simulacra of hyperreality of the Hotel Cheyenne of Euro Disney, and on into Main Street architecture. But many of those same restaurants and the Hotel Cheyenne are predated by West Edmonton Mall by almost 10 years, with many of them not being built until the late 90s.
Wait, you mean Edmonton was ahead of the curve? And wait, what's Mickeyization?
Yes, it was, and I'll tell you when you're older.
Huh. This all seems a little kitschy if you ask me.
Kitsch may be viewed as a reaction against the fears of change caused by modernity and the fracture of chronological time. Under such conditions, kitsch appears as a pleasurable escape from the banality of work and boredom of leisure. That's what kitsch is, an emotional illusion. It's fake, but it feels good to believe it.
It does feel good.
That's because they're not just selling tangible objects. They're selling fantasy, drawing people in, promising the social function of consumption, but creating a special form of social setting. One in which the mundane is unacceptable, for it may shatter the myth of wham. The mall is a consumer utopia, to quote Jeffrey Hopkins. These built environments have been co-opted by elements of the private sector as one large marketing tool for the consumption for everything from shoes to cell phones.
During the era in which the mall was built, people were experiencing the height of the Cold War. Nuclear anxiety rising, along with the overcommodification of postmodernism, led to a perfect climate for the mall to be built, turning leisure into psychological refuge. Glitz, glamour, and of course kitsch conceal the economic mechanism beneath, transforming freedom itself into a product. This very freedom afforded to the mall's patrons is what allowed the mall to be constructed to begin with the space used for its construction not just being location or property, but becoming a mental expression of not only the Gramesians' freedom, but that of Edmonton's, a city which before the mall's construction lacked concrete identity within Canada. Vancouver had the ocean, Calgary had Banff in the mountains next door, and now Edmonton had its world record Monster Mall, which the city had no problem approving.
Christine Perrin cites the "build it and they will come" phenomenon that is so indicative of the 70s and 80s to explain why people showed up to the mall in such large numbers. But they didn't just come for the mall's sheer size or the sheer number of stores. No, a new phenomenon was on the rise with the mall: the concept of entertainment retail. This "it's not just about what you can buy, it's what you can do" philosophy was at the forefront of the mall's DNA. And this idea, paired with the escapist principles formerly mentioned, heavily dictated what attractions were included in the mall's design.
At the water park, one can spend the afternoon in the sun under the glass roof. You can experience the thrill of a roller coaster in Galaxyland. You can go skating at the Ice Palace. You can see a movie at Silver City. And more importantly, you can do all these things inside of West Edmonton Mall. And of course, all of the entrances to the aforementioned attractions are all only accessible from the inside, spread out throughout the mall, so you have to walk past... Wait 1 second.
Stores. You have to walk past stores. On your way to and from, and even between, all of the activities you can do here, leading to the mall's seamless combination of marketplace, amusement park, and community center, combining all of those things into a single environment of consumerism and entertainment.
Remember when I said I'd tell you when you were older? Well, Edmonton's very own cosmos of consumption. When we talk about Mickeyization, Lorraine Dierstein-Fallow describes it as the packaging of experience into controlled, consumable fantasy worlds where entertainment and profit merge seamlessly. In Galaxyland, that's literal. Every ride exists through a gift shop, and every corridor leads you back towards merchandise, food courts, or flashing arcade lights.
So, everything's designed to keep us moving and spending?
Exactly. It's the architecture of endless fun. As Jean Baudrillard wrote in Simulacra and Simulation, it is no longer a question of imitation, nor duplication, nor even parody. It is a question of substituting the signs of the real for the real itself. Galaxyland doesn't represent outer space, it replaces it. Its glowing planets and coasters are signs of space, detached from any actual cosmos. The thrill is real, but the world it evokes never really existed.
This is hyperreality in motion, a version of reality that feels more real than real, precisely because it's engineered to please us. Like Disneyland, Galaxyland creates a safe, consumable chaos. The difference is, it's all inside a mall. Space travel monetized by the minute.
Well, we fell for it. It's just like what Peter Hemingway said. The architecture of West Edmonton Mall was merely an afterthought. But maybe that's because the real architecture is psychological. It's built from impulse, comfort, and pleasure of being inside a world that's never supposed to end. The mall doesn't just manipulate space, it manipulates time. All these hours we've been here have dissolved into ambient lights, endless corridors, and a bunch of subpar retail music. Or finding the exit.
Hopkins calls this a land of myths and elsewhereness, a world detached from the city around it where everyday life is suspended. Through interior theming, material excess, and sheer architectural scale, the mall collapses global and historical references into one consumable environment, a simulacrum of experiences. You can go from Europe to a skating rink to outer space without ever stepping outside.
As a lifelong Edmontonian, I was sure the magic at the mall had worn off. We were 30 years too late. I mean, Bourbon Street was all but gone, and the dragon in the theater had long since literally rotted and been removed. But after I rounded the corner and saw that old bronze whale in a new location, I felt like I was seeing an old friend again. And at that moment, I couldn't fight it anymore. I was having a good time. And as we encountered tourists experiencing the sights for the first time, rode the space orbiter, and partook in our healthy share of consumption, I was seeing them all in a different light. I realized we weren't too late. We were just in time. That's the joy of Kitsch. It's always somehow both almost in style and out of style.